Is currently part number dos of daily number 412. I think this is the farthest back I have ever been during the daily. Look at how huge my room looks when I'm all the way back here. Fortunately, with many a thrust forward, here I come. Yeah, and we're back. Excellent. Now I look like I have either a really tiny room or my head is enormous. One of the two. It's one of those. That's right, we're talking about Liquid Zenio and this brilliant technique that he uses to go for a zergling mutalisk style. The big thing in my eyes is this Hydra Den right here. Now, to talk about the brilliance of this Hydra Den, I want to come back to this moment in gameplay right here at the 6-minute mark when all of a sudden our protoss buddies started to move out with these units, and what did we do? We negated this very fast warp gate push with zerglings. Another way to say that is we negated this warp gate push with not roaches. Excellent. We didn't have to use dem roaches. Now all of a sudden at this point in time, our spire takes a long time, 100 seconds. And if you just look at how long a mutalisk takes, 33 seconds. It's almost it's about 2 minutes. Between when your spire finishes to when mutalisks pops. That's a long period of time. Hydra Dens take no time at all. 40 seconds. This, people would normally be building a Roach Warren. That Roach Warren lets them stay alive till they get the mutalisks up. However, this is particularly brilliant because it has the versatility to deal with air transitions. Protosses who suddenly go for something like very fast... very fast double Stargate after this early push. Or hell, even if they just go for a fast double Stargate in general. It allows you to not just stay alive, but to put pressure back on him. If he goes for some huge, scary blink sentry play, like what Naniwa's doing, it actually lets you push back on him quite hard. Partly because of the Hydralisks being so good, but also Hydralisks in combination with these Zerglings are going to work out extremely, extremely well. So here, all of a sudden, we have a lot of those conditional points that we were talking quite a bit about. We see this huge, scary push coming out from Naniwa. 6 gate, almost having +2 up. Now, we're going to go through sort of a weird logic that's, again, a little bit of the modern logic rather than the more traditional logic. Where are Hydras working? How are those working out? Obviously, this is a little bit close. It can be a little bit tense, but easy peasy, clean that up. Now, this force typically would crush small numbers of roaches. It would crush small numbers of roaches because if we have 20 roaches and they push 10 back and just keep 10 at the front, the 10 at the front evaporate like nothing because the stalkers have bonus damage, the roaches in the back can't reinforce. It's tough. But with Hydralisks, Hydralisks have range 6. Once they get this upgrade up. So when this goes on, here comes a nice slice. Hydralisks that are caught, if a Hydralisk is being fired at, it can be firing back as well. It's not like if these were roaches and these stalkers here could be chipping away at it. Ordinarily, it's quite difficult to go Hydralisks in this sort of situation. But Hydralisk Zergling is actually extremely potent against these Stalker Sentry forces. Not pure Hydralisk. Hydralisk Zergling. Remember how I talked about the brilliance of this 4th hatchery? This is exactly why. We're seeing it right here. Hey, look, there's our +1 melee attack just finishing. This is not actually that difficult for Zenio to defend. Notice that this is not that difficult for him to defend. Also notice that at this point in time, Zenio could have been up against air, and he would have been able to push it back. And he would have been able to push the air back to maybe take out this expansion or take out this expansion. This Hydralisk stepping stone is so frickin' brilliant. So brilliant. And you might be saying something like, well, day 9, didn't we want to go Mutalisk Zergling? We haven't even used this spire at all. This is the important idea of the day that we're seeing right here. What Zenio is doing is a pretty sexy conditional tree. If he doesn't have any pressure against him, and if he doesn't even really use the Hydralisk that much, boom, right into the Zergling Mutalisk, pressure's back on you, protoss. Guy. Pfft. Here, pressure's on us. We have blink stalkers right at our front door. There's no time to begin going zergling mutalisk right now. We're going to just keep making hydras and lings to help us stay alive. Most importantly, if we're making nothing but hydra and muta, we'll just keep upgrading things, and then we can transition smoothly into roach hydra. But not just any roach hydra, not just derp, I'm going to build roach hydralisk because I read in a book once, I downloaded a strategy guide for $50,000 that I saw in an ad on Craigslist, and it told me roach hydra was Gosu. None of that whatsoever. This is Zenio identifying this situation, and notice the predominance of zerglings in this force. We haven't even really built that many hydralisks. In fact, most of these hydralisks are going to be pretty heavyweight in this entire thing. They don't really end up having that many kills cumulatively. But they are doing some serious damage from the backside. And also the amount of force fields that you need to pick off zerglings is way more than the amount of force fields you need to properly zone roaches. Zerglings are small. So suddenly Naniwa's aggression gets shut down flat cold. We could have gone Mutalist at any moment, but we identified the situation, and boom! Here our Roach Warren finishes, we're getting speed, and look at what happens up in the production. It's kind of an easy, I guess I would say, this build macros itself at this point. We're comfortably just going to build only Roaches. We were going Zergling Hydralisk for a majority of the time. Now we're just churning out the Roaches, churning it out. See the amount of gas we have? If, for some reason, Zenio was in the situation where these stalkers didn't come out, all this gas gets dumped right on into Mutalisks. This transition is so brilliant. I just can't emphasize how brilliant the Hydrals transition is. So much so that I'm going to pause and just talk about how brilliant it is. Because again, a big idea is the conditionality of all this stuff. It's not just derp-de-derp, we're going to go mutaling. Ta-da! Right? We build the Hydralisks, they defend against air, and we can attack back against air. They defend against blink stalkers, and we can attack back against blink stalkers. Roaches are painfully passive in a ton of circumstances. We can defend the push with roaches. Time to do something else. We can defend this against the air units with queens and spore crawlers, and we have our roaches here as well for defense. And that's it, right? The Hydralisk, though, weirdly, this slow, seemingly useless unit in StarCraft 2 is the platform for us to jump into aggression and to transition in a whole bunch of ways. So sweet, we pushed them all the way back. What next? Well, with all this gas, I originally was going to go for air, but why not just pop out some infestors? That will blend very well with our Roach Zergling Hydralisk mixture. The Zerglings, by the way, are getting the +2 attack, making them particularly potent against all those obnoxious little stalker guys. And of course, last but not least, oh, he might be getting some Colossi soon. We already had this Spire done in the first place, so we're just going to build the Corruptors out of it. Did you hear the helicopter? Sorry guys, I guess there's a felon in my neighborhood trying to run from the law. My apologies. Excellent. And at this point in time, some standard aggressive Zerg logic applies. Zenio doing smart things like getting Overseers, just in case. He's expanding a ton. His infestation pit is out, he's ready to get a hive. He's just positioning himself in good angles. The Blink Stalkers trying to do their thing. Very difficult to know where to force field when you have those potent Zerglings in the mixture. Easily takes out the Colossus because he had the Spire done in the first place. Clean game. Wow, was that game clean. I just can't emphasize that enough. Now, for any of you who are still feeling a little bit lost on this Hydralisk into Mutalisk transition, don't worry, we're going to game 2 right now, which ends up being on Tal'Darim Altar. Whoosh, load up StarCraft. Excellent. Excellent. By the way, for any of you looking for these games, sc2rep.com. Go there. It's right there on the front page. Or just go to Liquipedia and look up the IEM Kiev event. Now we're going to see Zenio do some different basic builds in, I guess I would say a different structure to his opening. But the same idea is going to pop out. He's not going to rely on the Roach to defend this early attack. He's not going to rely on the Roach to defend that early attack, because the Roach is all passive. He wants to be going mutiling, he wants to be going aggressive, and weirdly enough, the Hydralisk ends up being a big ticket to that. So we're on Tal'Darim Altar. Zenio obviously really wants to get his expansion up. And again, he goes for this very early gas geyser at like 20 food. Naniwa's going to early expand. Naniwa builds 20 probes, buying probes on credit with this one pylon here. Oh, that's how we have financial collapse, Naniwa. But either way, things seem to progress normally. What was a big key to doing our opening, it was to make sure we got Zergling speed. Now, just to make it a little bit more explicit, don't fall into that trap of saying, I'm getting Zergling speed, so that way I can kill off any probe that moves out for any early attack. That's almost there. You want to just go the slight extra step and say, I'm getting Zergling speed, so it finishes in time to kill a probe that's trying to build a pylon for that scary 4 warp gate push. Because when you're playing StarCraft 2, you're not trying to defeat probes, you're trying to defeat strategies. The 4 warp gate push strategy relies on a probe moving out. So this Zergling speed kills that strategy. Just go that extra little step. What are you beating? Make sure it's a strategy and not a unit, not an expansion. Not that it's beating something that just, I don't know, you woke up in a cold sweat about. It beats if he tries to cannon rush you. Dude, you're on an island map. I don't know, I was scared. I was freaking out. Now, what we're seeing Zenio do in this game is he's not taking himself a 3rd expansion. There's a couple of reasons why he may be doing this. One is, where do we take a safe 3rd? Here? Well, gee, look at that roundabout route. That's kind of obnoxious. This 3rd location seems to have some destructible rocks up on it. A lot of Zergs will do things like 1 base layer. And I did say that correctly. 1 base layer. They'll go for a layer really fast to get some infestors up stupidly quickly. And then they go expand, roach infester. Pretty common. July Zerg does it quite a bit. A lot of players like 2 base fast layer. That's what we're seeing Zenio do. You may be asking, what's the timing on the layer? Really simple. Build this gas geyser on 20 and don't take drones out of it. Ha! Boom! Excellent, we're now getting this extractor up as we begin that layer. We're still just droning as much as we can. Only 1 set of Queen Energy was used for creep tumors instead of for larvae. Naniwa's going to be doing an airplay in this game. And what we talked about last time, what we talked about so much, we could build an evolution chamber to try to do some sort of early defense. We could build a Hydralisk den for some sort of early air defense. Either of those end up being equally as effective. But we're going to see Zenio use the Hydralisks here for this air defense, because if he got an evolution chamber and a Hydra den, that evolution chamber wouldn't have all those amazing uses that it did in the last game. It would have 1 use, upgrades, because the Hydralisks already sort of stepped ahead and did their good defense of the air. So Zenio did kind of a staggered extractor timing. I'm not going to go too much into the extractor timing because I want to make sure we have enough time to finish up this game, and take questions in part 3. But basically, this 2nd geyser gets started when our layer gets started. And then after that one's done, we start this one, and then after this one's starting to get mined, we start this one. We just sort of stagger it. But mainly we're making a lot of drones. Cool! A Hydralisk den. Awesome. Zerglings moving out, killing off any probes, because 8-minute mark is right around the corner. If he's going for a faster warp gate, which it looks like he is, we want to be able to combat that. And there's our wonderful Wubulus. Void Ray popping on out. Spine Crawler popping down. Oh, cool. Wait, where's our evolution chamber? Alright, excellent. It's back here a little bit. We didn't rush to get that up because we have our Hydralisks coming up, and they're going to help us defend against the air. Aha! We see this air is up right now. Fan-frickin-tastic. Oh, look, see, we canceled that. We didn't need any of that defense against the ground. Zenio's still building these Hydralisks, and then this Spire seems like such a weird transition to do. Why not just build the spire outright? Why not just rely on these queens if we're on 2 bases? Why not just build a Roach Warren if we're so scared of early aggression? The Hydralisks defend against a huge variety and, most importantly, allow us to push back for a brief period. So here we find this Void Ray, and Naniwa just looks away for like a few seconds, barely escapes with the Void Ray alive, almost loses. Look at all these Zealots that were going to be part of some fancy +1 attack timing. With a nice surround, the Hydralisks continue to push. And Naniwa, what is the modern Protoss style I talked about? In a vague sense, the modern Protoss style is, I'm going to do tons of damage to you right at the start of the game with fast warp gate, fast air, fast. I'm just going to bludgeon you to death. Smack you around Bruce Lee style. These Hydralisks swat all that off quite easily. And in the last game, when we were dealing with that blink aggression, we saw Zergling Hydralisk in construction. In this game, we see Zergling Hydralisk in construction. Zenio is not going to build Hydralisks for the rest of the entire game. Look at this situation right now. How many of you have been trying to get a spire up, and how do you do it? You build, I don't know, 10 spine crawlers here while the spire finishes? Sure, you'll be safe, but you won't be able to do this. You won't be able to threaten a win right now. You won't be able to do this, take a 3rd expansion with no creep around, with 0 defense from air. No, you got these Hydralisks up. They accomplish all that. Brilliant play by Zenio. Zeniownage, as I wrote. Yeah! Totally stole that from Team Liquid. Don't care. Feel awesome regardless. This is a nice little mix. And hey, look at our Mutalisks coming out. Okay, I guess I lied. I guess he did make 2 extra Hydralisks. But still, effectively no more Hydralisks. And now we're getting these Mutalisks up. And as we're getting Mutas, we can just spend all the rest of our minerals on drones. And now we're doing all these fun little bust-in antics in a matchup where traditionally the Zerg is a defender. Traditionally the Zerg is hanging out, waiting, crying, sobbing, wondering if he has enough to defend, asking himself how could he ever know how to defend against this huge variety of things. Zenio busts out the Hydralisk and makes an attacking Zerg style. My God. That is so good. Shit, that is so bad for my glasses to be thrown on the ground like that. Sure, things like High Templar are great at killing off Hydralisks. But that's why Zenio isn't going mass Hydralisks. He's building just a few as a stepping stone to get him control. And as good as High Templar are against Mutalisks, it doesn't change the fact that Zerg is getting this base up. High Templar will never be able to play a role in denying Zerg this very, very fast 3rd base. So we see the Dark Shrine coming up. I'm going to speed up this game just a smidge. I just thought this was so wonderful. And yeah, look, Naniwa dealing with all this crap at the back of his base, or at the front of his base, now dealing with all this crap at the back of his base. Suddenly has to be really careful. 3rd queen in production. I think you should be a little bit careful and build a Overseer at some point, because as you note a Dark Shrine is done, as you will aptly note, a Dark Shrine is now completed and on the map, and that can cause some huge headaches. I actually strongly recommend the High Templar Shrine and a Dark Templar Shrine. I guess it's called the Templar Archives and a Dark Shrine. Highly recommend both of those. So cool, look at this. We have all of everything getting built. Drones and Mutalisks, all we'd ever need. The one thing that I guess irks me some, this evolution chamber still hasn't done dilly. Ain't no dilly thing. Nothing. It's kind of the reason why I was emphasizing the Hydralisk so much. We can actually pop this out of the equation completely. But if we did get it, we should at the very least get an upgrade out of it. Okay, cool, this sucks. This just stinks for us. We don't like this any one bit. But I'd still like to emphasize how we're not building spine crawlers. Look at this. With all that spine crawler money, hell, we're just going to build a hatch. Yeah! We should be getting a +1 Zergling upgrade. The Mutalisk constantly sweeping this right side just to make sure that there's no expansion there. There's no probe trying to build pylons. Because sure, this Overlord spots that expansion, But a probe will sometimes build a pylon, then go cannon, cannon, and then build a nexus, and then go cannon, 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 cannon. Very common against a mutalisking player. But Zenio still checks up for that. He's checking up. Up here, we see he finally has an Overseer planted there. We have the Spore Spine mixture. A Warp Prism Zealot play stepped into action. And from here on out, we see a Baneling Nest popping up, but we'll just do the rest of the game in part 3, where we look at how Zenio uses this beautiful platform he's sitting on, this wonderful little Hydralis transition, and progresses smoothly into the end game. And we'll also see what part of what makes Naniwa the scariest frickin' Swede known to man. Woo!